In the silent, endless tapestry of space, where stars hold secrets older than time itself, moments arise that redefine everything. This is a story of one such moment, a heartbeat in the cosmic expanse where two civilizations found themselves on the brink of destiny. Countless vessels drift through the great ocean of the void, but some carry a cargo far more precious than minerals or weapons. They carry hope, fear, and the fragile, shimmering promise of tomorrow. Captain Torrin Blackwell sat in the command chair of the patrol cruiser, Meridian's Edge, his weathered fingers tapping a slow, rhythmic beat against the armrest. 17 years of service had etched the predictable emptiness of the border regions into his soul. Behind him, his crew moved with the quiet efficiency born of long voyages. Lieutenant Ravesh, a four-armed Kylothian with skin like polished silver, monitored the tactical displays, his multiple limbs a blur of practiced motion. At navigation, Ensign Pallas, her crystalline features marking her as one of the rare Shimmeran people, calculated their next jump coordinates. And at the communications station sat Officer Drennick, a stocky being whose amber eyes could perceive frequencies others missed entirely. The Meridian's Edge was no warship. She was a scout, a vessel of observation, and, if the stars aligned, peaceful contact. Her crew of 12 hailed from 5 different species, all united by the Galactic Federation's mandate to explore, to learn, and to protect. This day was meant to be another routine sweep of the outer territories, checking on automated beacons, ensuring the star lanes remained clear for commerce. It should have been just another day. But then, Drennick's head snapped up. His thick fingers flew across the console, an unusual urgency in his movements. "Captain, I'm picking up something. Unusual on the deep scan array." The edge in his voice was sharp enough to cut through the bridge's low hum, and Torrin sat straighter. "Unusual how?" "It's large, sir. Very large. The signature doesn't match anything in our database." Torrin rose, the worn fabric of his uniform shifting as he crossed to the tactical station. "Ravesh, what are you seeing?" The Kylothian's four hands orchestrated a symphony of data across multiple screens. "Confirming the reading, Captain. Single vessel bearing 327 Mark V. Distance is approximately 200,000 kilometers. The size profile, it's beyond standard parameters." "Show me." The main view screen, which had been a placid field of distant stars, flickered. At first, nothing seemed out of place. Then, Pallas adjusted the visual filters. A section of the star field simply vanished, blotted out by an immense dark shape. "Magnification increasing," she said softly, her crystalline voice like the chime of distant bells. What resolved on the screen was simply beyond comprehension. A ship, if such a mundane word could even apply, stretched across the void like a slumbering titan. Its hull was a deep, light-absorbing black, yet it wasn't lifeless. Intricate networks of light traced across its surface like glowing veins. Towers and arrays, vast enough to be cities in their own right, rose from its main body, and dotted across its exterior, like the scales of some ancient spacefaring beast, were gun emplacements, their immense size clear even at this staggering distance. "By the ancestors," Ravesh breathed, his silver skin paling to a chalky white. "I count at least 40 primary weapons clusters. Captain, each one is larger than our entire ship." A cold knot tightened in Torrin's throat. In all his years, through skirmishes with pirate fleets and standoffs with rogue military cruisers, he had never encountered anything on this scale. "Give me dimensions," he commanded, his voice tight. Pallas's crystalline fingers danced across her console, each touch producing a faint musical note. "Captain, the computer is struggling with the measurements. A preliminary estimate suggests the vessel is 35 kilometers in length. Width appears to be 8 kilometers. The height is difficult to determine from this angle, but at least 6. Silence descended upon the bridge. Even the ship's ambient hum seemed to hold its breath in the face of this impossible revelation. To put that in perspective, the largest ship in the known galaxy, the pride of the Federation, the flagship Eternal Vigilance, measured a mere 4 kilometers from bow to stern. This dark leviathan was nearly 9 times its size. "Sir?" Drennick said, his voice careful. "The vessel is changing course, it's turning toward us." Every survival instinct in Torin's body screamed, "Run." But he was a captain of the Federation. First contact protocols, however inadequate they now seemed, existed for moments just like this. "Open a channel," he ordered, his voice betraying none of his inner turmoil. "Standard greeting on all frequencies." Drennick nodded, his hands already moving. "Channel open, sir." Torin took a deep, steadying breath and spoke into the void. "Unknown vessel. This is Captain Torin Blackwell of the Federation scout ship Meridian's Edge. We mean no harm and welcome peaceful contact. Please identify yourself and state your intentions in this sector." The seconds stretched into an eternity. The massive ship continued its slow, deliberate turn, revealing even more impossible details. Entire sections of its hull were transparent, offering glimpses of vast, glowing internal structures. Small craft, each the size of a standard Federation fighter, swarmed from its bays like bees around a colossal hive. This wasn't just a ship. It was a world, alive with purpose and teeming with life. Then Drennick spoke again, his voice filled with surprise. "Captain, we're receiving a response, audio only. Put it through." A burst of static, and then a voice filled the bridge. It was pleasant, almost warm, speaking the common trade language with only the slightest unidentifiable accent. "This is the Terran vessel Prometheus. I am Captain Sienna Wolf. We appreciate your greeting and wish to establish formal relations with your Federation." Terran. The word rippled through the bridge, a shockwave of recognition. They all knew the stories. Earth, a small blue world far from the galactic core, discovered by traders a mere 18 months ago. The Terrans, or humans as they called themselves, were a young species by galactic standards, barely having mastered faster-than-light travel when first contact was made. Intelligence reports suggested they had maybe a dozen small interstellar exploration craft. This changed everything. Torin kept his voice steady, a mask of calm professionalism. "Captain Wolf, the Federation welcomes all peaceful species. Your vessel is quite impressive. Might I inquire about its purpose in our territory?" There was a short pause, followed by a sound that might have been a soft, amused laugh. "Our purpose is the same as yours, Captain Blackwell. Exploration, protection, and the hope of making new friends among the stars. The Prometheus is our first deep space carrier, designed to serve as both a home and a haven for those who venture far from Earth." And in that moment, aboard a small scout ship at the edge of known space, Captain Torin Blackwell and his crew realized that the galaxy and humanity's place within it was about to change forever. The age of the Titans had just begun. Thank you so much for joining us on this cosmic journey. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button, subscribe for more tales from the universe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. We'll see you on the next voyage. Torin felt the weight of the moment settling on his shoulders like a physical presence. First contact with a new species was always significant, but standing before this impossibly massive vessel changed the equation entirely. He made his decision quickly, knowing that hesitation would be seen as weakness or fear. "Captain Wolf, we would be honored to visit the Prometheus and meet face to face. Your invitation is graciously accepted." "Excellent, Captain Blackwell. We are transmitting docking coordinates to your navigation officer. Please proceed at your convenience. We look forward to welcoming you aboard." The channel closed with a soft click, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Ravesh was the first to speak, his 4 hands moving nervously across his tactical console. "Captain, with respect, this could be extremely dangerous. We know almost nothing about human military capabilities. If their peaceful claims are false, we would be completely at their mercy." Torin nodded slowly, understanding the concern. He looked around at his crew, seeing the mixture of fear and curiosity in their eyes. "Noted, Lieutenant. However, if the humans meant us harm, they could have opened fire long before now. That ship carries enough firepower to reduce us to atoms without breaking stride. The fact that they are talking instead of shooting suggests genuine peaceful intent." Pallas spoke up. her voice carrying that musical quality that made even dire observations sound gentle. "The coordinates they sent are fascinating, Captain. The docking bay they have designated for us is located in the forward section of the vessel. According to my scans, it is one of 12 such bays, each large enough to accommodate vessels 3 times our size." Dreadnought added his own observations, amber eyes glowing with interest. "I am detecting thousands of life signs aboard the Prometheus. The thermal signatures suggest a crew population of at least 15,000 individuals, possibly more. The ship is a city unto itself." Torin made his way back to the command chair and activated the ship-wide communication system. "All hands, this is the captain. We are about to make first contact with representatives of the human species. I want all department heads to prepare status reports. Science team, compile everything we know about Earth and its people. Security, standard diplomatic protocols, but weapons stay holstered unless I give explicit orders otherwise. This is a peaceful meeting and I intend to keep it that way." He turned to Ravesh. "You have the bridge, Lieutenant. Assemble a diplomatic team. Yourself, Ensign Pallas, Officer Dreadnought, and bring along Specialist Kemmer from the Science Department. I want diverse perspectives for this encounter." Ravesh straightened, his forearms moving in a gesture of acknowledgement. "Understood, Captain. I will have everyone ready in 10 minutes. As the crew prepared, Torin retreated to his ready room for a moment of quiet reflection. He stood before the small viewport, watching the Prometheus grow larger as they approached. The ship was beautiful in a terrifying way, like watching a storm roll across the horizon. Humanity had been in space for barely 2 years, according to the intelligence reports. How had they built something like this? What drove a species to pour such resources into a single vessel? The door chimed and Specialist Kemmer entered. She was a Valorian, tall and willowy with skin that shifted colors based on her emotional state. Right now she displayed nervous greens and blues. "You wanted to see me, Captain?" Torin gestured to the viewport. "Tell me about humans, Kemmer. What do we really know about them?" She moved to stand beside him, her colors shifting to thoughtful purples. "Not as much as we would like, sir. Earth was discovered by a Kylothian trade expedition 18 months ago. Initial contact was peaceful. The humans were surprised but not hostile. Their technology was primitive by our standards, barely capable of reaching their own moon reliably. We shared some basic knowledge, established communication protocols, and left them to develop naturally. And now they have this," Torin said quietly. Kemmer's colors flickered with uncertainty. "It does not make sense, Captain. Building a ship of this scale requires resources, manufacturing capability, and technological knowledge that should take decades to develop. Unless everything we thought we knew about human development speed is wrong, or unless they were always more capable than they appeared," Torin mused. "Perhaps they simply had not turned their full attention to space until we showed them what was possible." Kemmer considered this, her colors swirling with analytical oranges. "That is a disturbing thought, sir. A species that can accomplish this much in such a short time would be formidable indeed." The intercom chimed and Ravesh's voice came through. "Captain, the diplomatic team is assembled and ready. We are approaching the docking coordinates now." Torin straightened his uniform and turned from the viewport. "Then let us not keep our hosts waiting. Time to see what humanity is really made of." The Meridian's edge glided into the designated docking bay, and what they found inside took their breath away. The bay was a cathedral of metal and light, stretching so far in every direction that the walls seemed to disappear into the distance. Dozens of small human craft were secured to docking clamps along the walls, each one sleek and purposeful. Maintenance crews moved about on elevated platforms, their voices echoing in the vast space. The diplomatic team gathered in the airlock as their ship settled into its berth. Torin checked each member, making sure uniforms were straight and equipment was functioning. "Remember, we represent not just ourselves but the entire Federation. Whatever we learn here today will shape human Federation relations for generations to come." "No pressure," Dreadnought muttered, earning a nervous laugh from Pallas. The airlock cycled open, and they stepped out onto a platform that extended from their ship to a main walkway. A group of humans waited for them, 6 individuals in dark blue uniforms that bore subtle insignia. The leader stepped forward, a woman with dark skin and eyes that held both warmth and sharp intelligence. Her hair was pulled back in a practical style, and she moved with the confidence of someone comfortable with command. "Captain Blackwell," she said, extending her hand in the human greeting gesture Torin had read about. "I am Captain Sienna Wolf. Welcome aboard the Prometheus." Torin carefully mimicked the gesture, clasping her hand briefly. The touch was warm, very human. "Captain Wolf, thank you for your hospitality. May I introduce my crew? Lieutenant Ravish, our tactical officer. Ensign Pallas, Navigation and Sciences. Officer Drennick, Communications. And Specialist Kemmer, our xenobiologist." Each human nodded as introductions were made, their faces friendly but alert. Sienna gestured toward a corridor that led deeper into the ship. "Please follow me. I imagine you have many questions, and I hope to provide some answers." As they walked, Torin could not help but marvel at the scale of everything. The corridors were wide enough for small vehicles to pass through comfortably. The ceilings rose high overhead, embedded with lights that mimicked natural sunlight. Human crew members passed them in the halls, many stopping to stare with undisguised curiosity at the alien visitors before remembering their duties and moving on. The conference room where Captain Wolf led them was unlike anything Torin had seen on a military vessel. Instead of cold metal and tactical displays, the space felt almost comfortable. Real plants grew in corner planters, their green leaves reaching toward ceiling lights designed to mimic sunlight. The table was made of dark wood, smooth and warm to the touch. Windows along one wall showed the endless expanse of space beyond, stars twinkling like distant hopes. "Please sit," Sienna said, gesturing to chairs that adjusted automatically to accommodate the different body types of Torin's crew. Refreshments were brought by a young human officer, drinks in clear containers that sparkled with condensation. "We have water, synthesized juices, and what we call coffee. Though I warn you that coffee is an acquired taste even among humans." Kemmer's colors shifted to curious yellows as she examined the offered beverages. "This is quite unexpected, Captain Wolf. Most military vessels prioritize function over comfort." Sienna smiled, and there was something genuine in the expression that put Torin slightly at ease. "That is exactly why we designed the Prometheus differently. We learned something important about ourselves when we first reached for the stars. Humans need more than metal walls and recycled air to thrive. We need reminders of home, of the things worth protecting. This ship is not just a weapon or a tool. It is a home for 15,000 people who may spend years in deep space." Ravesh leaned forward, his 4 hands folded carefully on the table. "Forgive my directness, Captain, but the size and capability of your vessel raises many questions. The Federation's intelligence suggested humanity possessed only small exploration craft. This ship represents a technological leap that should not be possible in such a short time frame." Sienna nodded slowly, as if she had expected this question. "You are right to be curious, and I will be honest with you because I believe honesty is the only foundation for real trust between our peoples. When your traders first made contact with Earth, they saw what we wanted them to see. A young species, enthusiastic but limited, barely capable of reaching our own neighboring planets. But that was not the whole truth," Pallas said softly, her crystalline voice holding no accusation, only understanding. "No, it was not," Sienna admitted. "Humanity has a complicated history. We have known war, struggled through conflicts that nearly destroyed us. When we finally achieved peace on our world, we made a collective decision. We would reach for the stars, but we would do so carefully. When your people arrived, we chose to observe first, to learn about the galaxy before revealing our true capabilities." Drennick's amber eyes studied Sienna carefully. "You were testing us, testing whether the galaxy was safe for humanity. And if we had proven hostile?" Sienna's expression became serious, her hands folding on the table. "Then we would have remained hidden, defending our home system while preparing for the worst. But you were not hostile. You were cautious, respectful, curious. You offered knowledge without demanding anything in return. That told us something important about the Federation and the species within it." Torin felt something shift in his understanding. This was not a young species stumbling into galactic society. These were careful planners, strategic thinkers who understood the dangers of revealing too much too soon. "And now you reveal yourselves with this ship. Why now?" "Because hiding served its purpose, but it cannot continue forever," Sienna replied. "The Prometheus represents our honest introduction to the galaxy. We are saying clearly that humanity is ready to join the community of spacefaring species, not as subordinates or threats, but as equals." Kemmer's colors swirled with thoughtful purples and golds. "That is a beautiful sentiment, Captain Wolf, but you must understand how this appears. A massive warship arriving at the Federation's borders could be interpreted as aggression or intimidation. Sienna stood and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. I understand your concern, and it is valid. But consider this from our perspective. We are one world, one species stepping into a galaxy filled with thousands of established civilizations. We have no allies, no treaties, no protection except what we can provide ourselves. The Prometheus is not meant to threaten. It is meant to ensure that humanity can defend itself while we learn to navigate this new reality. She turned back to face them, and Torrin saw something in her eyes that resonated deeply. It was the same look he had seen in the mirror during his early years of service, the mixture of hope and fear that came with venturing into the unknown. We built this ship because we refused to be victims, but we designed it with conference rooms like this, with gardens and living spaces, with facilities for diplomacy and cultural exchange, because we also refuse to be conquerors. We want to find our place among the stars, to learn from species who have traveled this path before us, to contribute something meaningful to the greater galactic community. Ravesh's silver skin had returned to its normal color, tension easing from his posture. That is a perspective I can respect. My people, the Kylothians, faced similar challenges when we first ventured beyond our world. We were fortunate to encounter the Valorians, who guided us with patience and wisdom. Kemmer's colors brightened to warm oranges and pinks, a Valorian expression of appreciation, and the Kylothians have since guided others in turn. This is how the Federation grows stronger, through chains of understanding that span generations. Pallas spoke, her musical voice carrying a note of hope. Perhaps humanity's arrival is not a threat but an opportunity. Your unique perspective, shaped by your isolated development, could bring fresh ideas to challenges the Federation has struggled with for centuries. Sienna returned to her seat, and for the first time since they boarded, she allowed herself to look vulnerable. That is our deepest hope. We do not claim to have all the answers. Our history is filled with mistakes, with lessons learned through hard experience. But we are willing to share those lessons, to learn from yours, to build something together that is stronger than what any of us could create alone. Torrin felt something loosening in his chest, a tension he had not fully acknowledged until it began to fade. He thought of his own journey, of the years spent learning to work alongside species with different values, different ways of seeing the universe. It had not always been easy, but the relationships formed through that struggle had become the most meaningful parts of his life. Captain Wolf, I cannot speak for the entire Federation Council. That decision will require diplomacy far above my rank, but I can tell you what I see here today. I see a species that values preparation but seeks peace. I see people who understand both the necessity of strength and the greater importance of compassion. These are qualities the Federation was built upon. Sienna's eyes brightened, hope flickering across her features like sunrise. Then you will support our petition for Federation membership? Torrin smiled, surprising himself with how natural it felt. I will recommend it strongly. But more than that, I would like to propose something else. The Federation has a tradition called the Mentorship Protocol. When a new species joins, an experienced captain volunteers to serve as a guide, helping them navigate the complexities of galactic society. If you are willing, I would be honored to serve as humanity's mentor. The emotion that crossed Sienna's face was unmistakable. For a moment, the hardened military commander disappeared, replaced by someone deeply moved by an unexpected kindness. Captain Blackwell, we would be more than willing. We would be grateful beyond words. Around the table, both crews seemed to relax simultaneously, as if a collective breath had been released. Drennick raised his glass of water in a gesture he had seen humans use in cultural database.